Struggling, yeah, struggling personally, and I just imagine knowing what Sheffield United fans are, they'll be struggling with it as well. So, yeah, really disappointing evening.
And the fact that it's a lot of the same themes again and again, goals in clusters, things like that. That must be really frustrating you right now.
Yeah, it is. We thought we had a blueprint to a good performance in terms of when we played Liverpool at home. Went 4-5-1 and had a threat on the counter with McAtee and Cameron Archer at the time as well. So thought that was the best way forward. 5-4-1, 4-5-1, but elementary defensive mistakes. Really disappointing ones really, because you prep and you talk about it and you talk about their quick play around the box and the five at the top of the pitch and they're outstanding, and when they get playing like that, they do that to better teams than us as well. But we made it easy. You look at some of the goals, one's an own goal, too easy getting round the back a couple of times, not tracking runners. Odegaard just got a simple tap in, and even the six, there's something on the edge of the box that should be cleared up by us. So the gulf's big. We understand the gulf's big. We had to be our absolute best tonight to ever dream of getting a result. We totally understand. That's not being negative. I'm just being realistic with it. The form that they're in and where we are in the league, and the up and down. Well, up a little bit and down for the majority of it. Form that we've showed pre-me and obviously me as well. You try and close that gap, however you do. But when you make those mistakes and they punish you clinically in the way they do, our belief dips, and their belief you can just see it. They don't need an handout. They're an outstanding team with a brilliant manager, and I think if you look at them players at the top of the pitch tonight, you look at and you go Martinelli, Declan Rice, Odegaard, Saka, and Havertz. It's a decent forward line. So if you don't deal with them, as we should have done, dealt with them better, they're going to put you to bed, and they certainly did that.
You're obviously here to rebuild this club in the summer, but are the players in danger of playing themselves out of your plans right away?
Well, listen, there's decisions that we think we need to make. Yeah. In my head, but there's always time either way, of course. I think what you'll notice and what you'll see, and maybe you might see a little bit more now, is the introduction of the younger players as well, because I thought we were better. I know the game's gone, and I know Saka comes off and other things, they drop down a level, but Brooks coming on, Asula coming on, and especially Arblaster coming on, that might be a route. It's been a painful season, Stu, and you've seen that before me and through my period. It's been a real painful season. There's a lot of broken and damaged players out there, because this is the league this is what the league can do to you, especially when you're off of it and they're on it, and you have to try and close that gap somehow. And when you don't close that gap, they make the gap look huge. So yeah, there's some decisions to be made, of course. I've talked about, there's a lot of other things that are getting reviewed at this particular time for us to get back. The supporters love the football club. I totally understand the supporters that left when they did. I get that. Every right for them to do that. I appreciate the supporters that stayed with us at the end. I thought they were amazing, and I'm not just saying that. That was a general feel of everybody and the staff, how good the supporters were. I don't need to, rub their heads regarding it. My future or anything connected with me was what happens on the football pitch. Not what I say to supporters, but I've got to say I thought they stayed with the ones that were in the ground, stayed with us right the way through to the end. They love the club. We're all hurting at the moment, every one of us, and we have to. Me, coaches, I've got to get together. We've got to see what direction we're going to go in between now and the end of the season. But we can't have this as just our stock home home performance and home result, because it's just totally unacceptable for them as supporters who love the club, and me as manager and leader.
I was going to ask you about the younger players, because in some of the big defeats earlier in the season, we talked about how it's not the right time to introduce young players, but has it just reached the stage now where you feel as though you've almost got no choice?
Yeah, it possibly is. I thought Blaster coming onto the pitch didn't make us any worse. In fact, made us better. So we've got to see, with those players that are going to take us forward next year. So, and that isn't putting the blame on players today that we're all in the same boat. I don't think there was any player apart from the young boys, Asula, Blaster, and Brooks. Nobody really came out with 7s or 8s, and that includes me as well in that. So I have to take that responsibility in terms of me getting it right. We felt we got it right before. We felt we got the feel of it right. It was funny because we felt it was a real good vibe about the place, and a big belief that we could get something from this game. But like you said, if we don't do the stuff that we prep for and diligently prep for in unit meetings and team meetings, that goes out the window and people don't stick to a plan, then you're going to get punished at every level, but you're certainly going to get punished in the Premier League. So maybe these younger boys will be disciplined enough and want to learn and want to stick to that plan that we're trying to implement.
Does the lack of response to the prep that you put in during the week, does that make you question what you're doing here, frankly?
No, it doesn't question. It cements it. I know what I'm an experienced manager. I'll come in and talk about what I've done. You know what I've done. You know what I've not done. You know where my career's been and where it is. So as far as I'm concerned, in a way, I'm sure I'll wake up tomorrow morning and it'll strengthen my resolve and my determination to get this right, because it's a big job. We understand that. It's a big job. Whoever was coming in when they did. I'm not saying I've cracked it, but we will definitely get this right in the medium to longer term, and determined as ever. Still a brilliant football club. It still gets 33,000 on a Monday night. The supporters will be here again for the remaining 4 games of remaining games of the season. They'll be here next year and they'll buy their season tickets. And this club has got to do so many things better. We totally understand that, and get it right. Get it right for the medium and longer term future.
Chris, from what you're saying there, I mean, it sounds like you're accepting fate.
No, I'm not accepting fate. No. Well, belief that we need to get a result from the next game. That's all I've ever looked at. But we're a step. The performance at Wolves was okay to good. We should have got something from the game in my eyes, from my opinion and belief of that game. We were in good shape to get something from the game. We'd have had to do a lot of things right today, as I said, because of the gap and the gulf. I'm not turning it in. I won't turn it in. I've got an obligation to my employers. The players have got an obligation to the football club, and most importantly, the fans, to go right at the end. To go right to the end. They will do. We'll take it on game by game. I'm just saying that I might need to look at team selection and who's on that journey and who really wants to be all in. All in. I'm all in. I think you know that. You understand that. My staff's all in. And we have to make sure who's going to be all in terms of what goes on medium to longer term.
Just ask about Ryan, what happened there. How big a blow is that for him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Dan, we talked about it, and it's just another part that we need to get to the bottom of it. I think we've had, we're close on having 50 soft tissue injuries before now and the end of the season, which is ridiculous. So there's all sorts of things that we need to look at in that, Danny, and make sure we because that's availability, durability, robustness. We're making physical substitutions. We can't play him for that set amount of time, and he can't do this and he can't do that, and the job's hard enough. The job's hard enough as it is. The job's hard enough in the Premier League, and the job's hard enough when when you're sort of looking at that situation. So we need to get that right. We need to get it right for Rian as well. You know, he did recovery days, and then we trained Thursday morning, and he just went down in a heap, having taken a shot, totally innocuous, and then he stayed down, and then I think we're all looking at each other and thinking, you know, what's going off, and obviously the physio comes on and looks at him, and he's had an issue with his hamstring again. So, you know, we've got to get that right for the boys' point of view as well as our point of view.
Is that done for the season, or is it a hope that he'll be back before?
Yeah, he is, but we've got to take a medium and longer term risk and reward view now with Rian. You know, there has to be a plan for him. There has to be some sort of structure in place for him to give himself an opportunity, because, you know, at the moment, you know, whether it's the mechanics of his body, or it's something else, we need to, as a club, in conjunction with Rian, get that right for him and us.
Yeah, is that as much for mentally as well as physically? Because it's a horrible road for him to go down, isn't it?
He'll come through it. He'll come through it, but, you know, he needs all our support, and as you know, he'll get that.